We are down here at LVRN. So this is LVRN is like my home studio. That's where I record all my music, for the most part at least. Um, so shout out LVRN first off. And I'm here with the guys. I'm here with Sheed. I'm here with Shady. I'm gonna let you go ahead and introduce yourself.
Uh, Sheed, Rashid, this big bro. Um, been working with Mifflin now for like 6 years, and then started an agency like what you said like 3 years ago. And yeah, just been doing that pretty much. So been in the game for a little bit now.
All right. What about you, Shady?
What's going on? Shady. Been in clothing for 10 years now. Specifically more in e-commerce for the last like 7. Work primarily on a brand called Red Letters
Okay.
and have a few other projects in the works as far as, a showroom that helps brands get into stores, as well as a marketing agency with Rashida here that we've scaled a few brands past 6 figures a month. And yeah, it's just the beginning of everything.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
So, me, I obviously have like a little insight to what they do. So I really just wanted to chop it up with the guys, get some content going just so that you guys could pretty much, because I know that you guys have a lot of wisdom to give, and I know that you guys, if given the platform, like the knowledge and the game that you guys could give people could, first of all, it could really help move the needle, and second of all, it could also be a potential client. So it's like I said, I really just wanted to chop it up with you guys, just link up, really pick you guys' brain just to, get some talking points going, and just so you guys can spread some knowledge for real. Get the people, what they craving.
Nah, for sure.
So I guess I started off by saying, so you mainly, or at least I know that you started with Mifflin as far as like the marketing goes, and then you expand it from there. So I guess we could start off kind of by going in the direction of, when it comes to, because Sheed is, he's heavy into like the marketing aspect, the content, the ad space, all that type of stuff, just digital marketing in general. So I guess I'd ask you, really, like, in general. We could start with in general and then go more into detail. But like, when you're, I guess, when you're talking to like a potential client, or somebody that just kind of wants to pick your brain on the marketing end, what are like key points that you always find yourself talking to people about?
Uh, I think initially is what their product range looks like.
Okay.
What they do organically. What's their right now? What's their marketing strategy? What's their marketing plan?
Okay.
Really, just trying to get a full scope of everything they have going on, because from that point, then we can see what's the biggest pain point to tackle.
Okay.
Because it's like, if they only got like a few products, it's like, all right, cool. Have you tried to like necessarily
More.
do more products, or like why haven't you done more products, or like
Okay.
if you done products before, how come you haven't reiterate on that or drop new products,
Yeah.
or if you're selling the same thing? Because I'm very big on like, if something works, keep pushing it.
Okay.
I'm not one of the people that are like, yo, this shit sold out, let's just have it sold out. If demand's there, feed the demand.
And I feel like I know the why, but why do you feel like you tell people like, oh, if you have a product that's going, continue to push it?
Because shit only gonna be hot for so long.
Okay. So I was kind of thinking in the terms of like, you might tell somebody that just because it's like you might tell somebody, hey, if you got a hot product, keep pushing it, just because it's like every day is new eyes seeing it.
Nah, for sure. For sure, because you never know how many people. Well, actually, you don't know how many people are out there, how many people are spending money every single day. Like, that's a huge factor in it.
Yeah.
But outside of that, you got to think of it like music. And it's like, if you have something that's going, like, there's people who are still doing legacy tours off of a song that they had
For sure.
a long time ago.
For sure.
And a hot song is like a hot product. Like if something that resonates with people now, it's similar to what you just said. If it resonates with this person, it's probably going to resonate with someone else who is very similar to them somewhere else. So you cutting off your water when there's no reason to is only doing a disservice to yourself.
Okay.
So yeah, that's just one of the factors. I think also just seeing the mindset of people as well. Because outside of just like what you have going on with the brand, it's like I don't align or work with people who we don't see eye to eye on strategy or like what you're willing to do. I think that's probably the first bit of things, and then we gonna get into other stuff later, like real life examples.
Yeah. So, Shadi, so I know you, or at least I know as of lately, you've been doing a lot of work with like showrooms and stuff. What is like, kind of general tips or just general things that you've been seeing in the journey of the showroom and like brands trying to get into these showrooms and because for me, I feel like we're kind of that's like the next stage. Like that's gonna be the next big thing. Like if your brand is in these showrooms, then you know what I'm saying, you're gonna be able to stay around longer than other brands.
Yeah, sure. And so I'm going to explain what a showroom is to people that don't know.
Okay.
So a showroom is essentially an umbrella company that serves wholesale accounts. And so you would approach a showroom with your brand, they would carry it in the showroom, and then buyers would come and, see it. And whether or not, it's stationary, meaning like it's just located in one place and buyers are coming to you, or you're packing everything up and going to trade shows, which is what my showroom, Palm Showroom, does. We represent 6 brands at this point.
Okay.
And I think ultimately what is really going to put somebody in a better position, because I have these calls, weekly, as far as like people wanting to get into the space, but not really having an idea. Just for context, I spent like 2 years branching off from like direct to consumer to really focus on, the wholesale industry, like what I need to do to succeed in it. Obviously learning from people that have done it for decades before me. And ultimately, the kind of advice that I give to people is when it comes to wholesale, like your first impression is going to be your lasting impression with these accounts. And so you want to make sure that your product line is going to be on point as far as like how it's merchandised, the kind of pieces that you're offering. And more than anything, like you got to understand these stores, for them to carry your brand, they got to be making money on it. And so it's a very competitive landscape. If you don't have your pricing correct, they're going to open up your link of the catalog and just like, close it out and never look at it again.
Sure.
And so if you're listening to this and you're trying to get into wholesale, just understand this at a bare minimum. We can get into this a little bit later. But the pricing that you give your stores, you need to give them at least enough margin to make 2x on their money. What does that mean? That means if you retail a shirt for $100, they need to be buying it at $50 at max. And for you to make money on that, you should aim to have your cost be half of that. So $25. And so people are like, well, why would I go and make $25 profit when I could go and, sell it online for $75? It's like, it's a very short-sighted kind of vision there. It's like, you got to understand these stores, they're not just buying one, they're not even buying 10. They might buy 10 to start off, but they're going to buy consistently from you, hundreds of pieces. And, I've seen what that looks like for someone to try you out, get 12 pieces, and then all of a sudden they're ordering 200 pieces a month. And so it's really just like understanding that you're entering a space where you are going to have to do things differently from online, and that's okay. And the numbers might not make sense at the beginning because you're still kind of, putting your name out there.
Okay.
But once they see the product sells, they're going to keep coming back no matter what it is that you put out, really.
Cool. Well, I guess really I'm going to follow up on that, and I'm going to pretty much say, or I'm going to ask you, in your time of working and doing the wholesale thing, have you seen, and I kind of want you to speak to the difference, or if there is a difference in, the brands that have some notoriety versus the brands that just look good, because I don't want to spread the wrong message out to the people that it's like, oh, okay, if you're kind of plugged into someone like Shadi, then that's damn near 75% of the job done. I want, is it, hey, if you find a Shadi, like, you're damn near good, or is it like, hey, I still need to do my legwork before I find a shoddy?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the work happens beforehand, right? So like how you design your collection, what price points you do, and ultimately the notoriety that you get is really your brand identity, your brand value that you are able to put across. Like, the way I kind of explain it is in the last 2 to 3 years, I've noticed that when it comes to brands that are in the wholesale market, there's really like two buckets that I would put them in. On one side, you have the, heavy branded, nice quality. They're in stores already that could be reselling.
Okay.
And people are buying into that brand, and so those are going to be the ones that can get away with higher price points.
Okay.
And then you have the other side, which is, I would call them the takedowns, the bootlegs, the copycats. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just like, these people have connections to factories. They're able to get jeans produced at $11 to $15 and sell them at $30 wholesale, and they retail for $70. And so for a brand owner that's like kind of getting started ordering 100 pieces, like they're not going to compete with them.
No, for
So if you try to compete with price and you don't have the infrastructure in order to compete with price, you're just like shooting yourself in the foot. So like if you're planning on developing a brand that is known for quality, known for, placement, you're going to have to kind of lead with that.
Okay.
And if you want to hit that price point, you want to be a minimal, you have to just kind of have the infrastructure or the funding in order to order the quantities needed to make that model profitable for you.
Yeah. But also, you should speak on like actually delivery, because a lot of people might not know that in wholesale that time for delivery is a lot slimmer than that on e-commerce.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of people might not realize, because, and like you just said, that first impression. Yeah, that first impression is everything. So I
Right.
think you should speak on that.
Yeah, 100%. So when it comes to delivery, or what are deliveries, right? So deliveries are basically, all right, let's say it's January 1st. I'm showing product that is going to be shipping on March 1st. So I'm selling it out 2 months in advance, right? And so the delivery date is like when it's going to start shipping. Okay. Now, okay, if you start advertising and you sell, let's say you sell $100,000 worth of a collection that everyone is expecting to ship on March 1st, right? Not only are they expecting for it to ship on March 1st to have the product, but they're expecting on that product to be in stores so that way they can make their money for that month. And so, they walk the floor of the trade show. There's hundreds of brands, but they chose to give you their money. Yeah. And so you have an obligation to deliver on that delivery time, because guess what? They are relying on it. They gave you their budget. If all of a sudden things happen, like let's say a shipment gets lost, not everything works out perfectly, and like you just got to have a plan to kind of for recourse. But let's say like all of a sudden it's not going to ship on March 1st, it's going to ship on April 1st. Okay. That can put a store in a bad position, because guess what? Like now they're not going to have your product, and they don't have enough time to go and get product from somebody else. Yeah. And so you just kind of like screwed up their entire cash flow, and now they have a bad taste in their mouth, and you're going to have to work twice as hard to get them as a customer again. Yeah. So.
No, I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sheed, I'll have to bring it back to you, and I want you to speak more on the portion of, because you said like when you're talking to potential clients and potential brands that you'll take on, you look at the organic factor, and I kind of want you to speak to that in the sense of like, why do you look at the organic factor, and what role does that play, like in terms of you might not take on a client too early, or like.
Yeah. So the organic factor is probably, if not the most important, like damn near at the top. Just because when it comes to like ads and strategy and like building out the whole ecosystem, as I like to call it, just the e-commerce ecosystem, is you need to have something that's initially going for you. And like what we come in and do is just add fuel to the fire.
For sure. Because
there's a lot of strategies, a lot of techniques that people might not be privy of, to where it's like, all right, cool. If we're able to come in and you can solely just focus on making the content, making the best product, and then people are behind you who are going to make sure more people see it, not even more people, the right people see it, and then that you're retaining the right people's information, and then you're communicating to them the right way over time, and it just builds on top of that, then that's when stuff's gonna happen. If I start working with someone too early and they don't got a customer base, they don't even know what direction they're going. They don't know who buying their stuff, how to necessarily communicate with the right people, this, that, and the other. It's like, yeah, we can do it, but then at that point, you spending hella bread.
Yeah.
You spending so much bread to figure stuff out, and then I'm not really trying to go in anyone's pockets and be like doing this, that, and the other, because you spending hella money. It might not be working as quick, and now you're looking at me like I'm the problem.
Yeah.
When in reality, I know I'm not the problem because I've done it time and time again to where I know that the strategies are proven, the steps are proven. So if you already have, like I said, the organic motion, and it's like, all right, cool, you're not dropping enough. How can we make it to where we can have you drop more, or like in your drops, how can we add more to the product flow? It's been examples where like some people that we worked with, they had a really good collection, and then the next time they built a whole new collection that was very different from their last previous collection, and they didn't necessarily see the results they wanted to. And then our advice was, you need to stay at least somewhat true to your initial audience, because you moving too much to the left is outlying them. We're never going to tell people not to introduce new product SKUs because you don't know what's going to work. You know what I'm saying? You introduce something new. Let's say you had 10 new products that come out. 7 of them should probably be related to
the previous.
Exactly. Because you know that's tested, proven, you know, people can maybe match it with something that's going on, the same aesthetic. Then you add free new stuff. And then if 2 of them hit, then you know, all right, bet we got something else that we could build off on.
For sure.
Versus if you do 10 news things and 2 of them hit, now you know with every drop is a risk. So now you in the red off of what reason? Because you wanted to try something out crazy. But it's like, these are things that, like, as a creative, you always want to get all your ideas out, which we 100% encourage you to do, but you just got to do it in the right way. You got to make sure that there's a longer mindset in terms of like trying to get that immediate dollar all the time. We definitely do want to get the immediate dollar, but you have to plan for the long haul.
Shadi, I'm gonna swing it back to you because, and this is kind of piggyback on the organic, topic that we're on. So, has there been times, or do you feel like in the future there's gonna be times where, you may kind of have like maybe person that has access to a brand that's like really doing well organically, and it's just coming across your radar, and you're like, nah, like, if they had wholesale presence, like, they would be going crazy. I need to reach out to them to kind of get them in my showroom. Is there, like, do you find yourself in situations like that, or in your world, do you see those things happening on certain instances where it's like, hey, like, maybe certain showrooms are competing against each other to get certain brands?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a case where showrooms are kind of competing, whether they like to admit to it or not. For different brands, I think that every showroom offers something different. Some of them might have a larger network. They might have been around longer. They might have physical locations. But ultimately, what you're really buying into is like the access that they can give you. And ultimately, like, you also want to be shopping for price because you don't want to get screwed. Because a lot of the times, these showrooms will see brands come and go, and they might take a brand on that they know is not going to do well or last after a year. But they're going to get as much showroom fees as they can out of you, charge you as high of a commission. I've seen commissions up to 20%. Wow. And, that's just like neither here or there. It just kind of depends on what you're getting from it, right? And so I think that what differentiates Palm Showroom as a showroom is really the fact that we come from direct to consumer. Like, we come from the online streetwear kids that ran it up on Shopify. And really what the whole reason wholesale even started out for us was like, we wanted to add a different channel so that way we would be able to kind of protect ourselves in the case of like rising ad costs or payment processor holds online. Like, we still had some sort of stream of revenue coming in. And so there are times where I see brands kind of in stores here or there. They might respond to the occasional Instagram message. They might not be accurately priced, but the store owner wants to work with them, wants to have something new, and like is willing to kind of get something for more than he should have paid for it. But ultimately, like, they're just not positioning themselves to be in the best place to make the most out of that relationship. And this is what I mean by that, right? Somebody might buy your shirt at 20-30% off, and that might be your wholesale pricing, and they might buy 10 pieces of it, and they might buy it, let's say, once a quarter. So they're ordering from you 4 times a year. But if your pricing was right, they'd be ordering from you every month. And if your deliveries were on point and they knew they could trust you to bring in product every weekend, they'll order from you 4 times a month. And so really it's like positioning yourself to the stores so that way they understand that, hey, you're doing well online, and you have the infrastructure in order to support them to do well in stores. Because, I mean, anybody can start a brand nowadays. You can go to Superline, print something, and have a brand within a week. And these store owners, I've tend to see that sometimes they will have their own in-house brands, but they still need something that's like relevant and what people are actually buying. And so, as long as you can kind of tell them that you can bring them that, then they're willing to try you out. But whether they try you out once or keep you on, it just depends on how smooth you make their experience.
Yeah, and I want to even add something to that. And in terms of just like the internet versus like it being in real life. And I think we spoke about it before, just with abstract. It's like people see it online, but being able to actually go somewhere and just get it immediately is such a huge factor on it. So like when we are running ads or just doing the whole marketing play, if folks know exactly like, all right, cool, I wasn't necessarily thinking about it, but I know this product is offered in this store in whatever city, I can go into this store rather than potentially wait in, even if you have quick shipping, 2 days. Even a lot of people might be a week. Some people is like, how people shipping get. So like it being relevant, it being the cool thing, and then these stores know it, or customers know they can get it at specific stores. Versus like when you go to a lot of these stores, they might have brands that, like Shay just said, there might be in store brands. People aren't really hip on them. So it's like at the end of the day, people want to wear the cool stuff. So playing that game is push and pull, but it's like having the right balance, and that goes back to the buying channels. Having multiple channels where people can buy from overall just helps the brand. But then it's just like wholesale versus direct to consumer, 2 completely different things, like we were saying. So you got to play the game in 2 different ways, and that's why I feel like Shady having his experience with wholesale, also with e-commerce, and me having my experience with e-commerce, is like we have that balance. And then as we are doing it more and more, we're starting to figure out like there's certain cycles to where we need to focus more on the e-commerce side, and there's certain cycles where we need to focus more on the wholesale side. But in totality, they work in tandem once you get to a certain point. But you had to have the infrastructure to get to a certain point.
Well, because we're just to kind of fall into, because you were just talking about brands that's like already cool, the brands that people want. So sometimes, and even a lot of times, I see in the brands that's kind of the cooler streetwear brands, I see that a lot of times they don't run ads. And it's like, they do marketing, obviously, but it's like it's different channels or different methods to their madness, different methods to marketing. So I kind of want you to speak on how you feel about that, like, because I know that you're very savvy in the ad space, like you really know your way around the Facebook ads and etc. So it's like, I want to know, how do you feel about brands like not using ads, brands, using other ways of marketing, whether it's, influencer or seeded, like just blogs, et cetera, et cetera.
I'm not mad at it. I commend it. I think it's very, like I said, very commendable if you're able to scale organically. Like, you can't beat that. You're keeping all the money in your pocket, lowering your marketing spend. Honestly, in this game, like, that's probably going to be your highest expenses after you get to a certain point, would be marketing. So for the people who do that, kudos to them. And it's also impressive because it's like you're building out your community in the most like original way possible. And that is, and we all know consumers and communities was going to push your brand farther than anything else.
For sure.
But I think that the brands who aren't using ads are leaving a lot of money on the table, because just as you have 5,000 people who like this stuff,
I agree.
there's going to be another 2,500 people who can probably like the same exact thing for the same amount, for not minimal more effort, but not as much effort as you think it's going to take. So you're not maximizing on your full reach and your full dollar off of whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's also the cool factor, which is like, and we speak about all the time in this e-commerce fashion just space.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many different tiers. You have the big dogs. You have the brands who are really like, the owners are lit. They live in the life they want to live. They doing everything they want to do. Then you have the people who are, they're doing well. They can survive off it. They can live off it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's like you're not really doing it to that extent. But then you have the people who are up and coming, who are still figuring it out. They might see that 15K month, 20K month, but you're trying to live off that. And in reality, you're really not seeing that much profit, because all your marketing expenses, your manufacturing, now you have rent in it. You have your groceries, your car expenses. So like those people, there's a lot of people in that range, and if you do more on the organic side in that range, then you'll probably get to that level that you want to be at. Mm-hmm. So I think overall, you just need to focus, like I said initially, just on the organic side. And I feel like a lot of people, once they get into not even a trap, but it is a trap. When they start seeing ads work so well, they sort of pull back on the organic side and start coasting. And that's when stuff isn't going to work. Yeah. Because it's only going to go for so long before there's going to be a dip. And then it's harder to recoup that organic energy, because people may not be as hip to what it is, or their attention might have pivoted to someone else. No, for sure. You got to keep that organic going and just have the ads be the fuel to the fire. For sure. So, yeah, if you can go organic, but don't sleep on the ads, because you're leaving money on the table. Shady, what you had to say?
I was gonna the note about, kind of going all the way in on it and not getting comfortable. I mean, we have this, like, at least from what I hear, right? It's like everyone's goal is like, I want to do 10K a month, 10K a month, 10K a month. Okay, you do 10K a month, that's 120K a year. If you're working full time, you have expenses, obviously your cost of goods, your marketing, your photo shoots, samples, whatever it may be, right? It's like at the end of it all, if you're doing 10K a month on your brand, like, you're making minimum wage, like probably less. And so my, 2 cents is like, if you're not there yet, like, hold on to your regular job. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, you're going to want to have some sort of other funding, so that way you can, like, reinvest and go hard, because it's harder to take risks when you know that if you divvy away from what's working right now, there's a potential that 10K can drop to 5K a month, and all of a sudden you can't afford your rent. For sure. But I mean, really, don't be spending your own, like, expenses out of the business account. I mean, that's ultimately the rule there. But, like, just don't be happy with 10K a month. 10K a month is easy nowadays. Like, shoot for higher.
So, and it's crazy that you even said that, because I'm a personal advocate. And I tell this to everybody, any and everybody. If you have a job and you're thinking about, oh yeah, I think I'm gonna quit my job to start my dream. No, you can do both. Don't be lazy, because you're just being lazy. It's a cop out saying, oh yeah, I'm gonna leave my job so that I'm gonna chase my dream because I'm gonna have all the time in the world. You don't need all the time in the world. In reality, you should be able to do both, grind it out until one is bigger than the other, to the point where, because for me, people didn't know, like, I went to school for accounting. I have 10 years accounting experience now, and it's really, people that know me and know I have an accounting background, they're shocked to know that I just stopped doing accounting, because they're like, oh damn, I would have thought the brand was da da da. It's like, I mean, technically, yeah, the brand was making good money, but that doesn't mean I'm a lean on that money that the brand is making, because like you said, it takes away from the opportunity to try things. Like, when you're doing a drop and it's like all your life is depending on on your brand, it's like no matter what, you're kind of putting your back against the wall every time, and it's like, okay, my next drop, like your mentality towards it might now be like this has to go versus like no, I want to see how this is gonna do. I want to see how the people are gonna receive this. And I feel like in your growth that's essential. Like you need the peace of mind to know that this can work, but if it doesn't, I'll be okay. Versus like this has to work or I won't be okay. Because then I feel like you're just setting yourself up really for failure.
Yeah. No.
Because with the clothes thing, like, for me, with abstract, I see it. So it's like, for me, I feel like China is better than Pakistan. Yeah, Pakistan has its pros that, you may get something quicker, et cetera, et cetera. But for me, I feel like China, the quality is there. And, in reality, if you're a growing brand and you're trying to go China, you might not see growth for years just because it's like the timeline you're waiting on your drop for 2 to 3 sometimes 4 months if something gets held up in customs or if you're shipping during the holiday season and they just taking forever at the port going through everything. So it's like you could put yourself in a position where it's like, all right, I drop, cool, I'm selling my drop over the course of a month. I might make 10,000 from my drop. All right, cool. I'm gonna put 7,000 into a new drop. You have to wait 3, potentially 4 months to make money off of that. Okay, we'll say you're doing a 50%, 50%. So you spend 3,500 at first, and then you're waiting 2-3 months to spend another 3,500, which means you have to be financially responsible to still have that 3,500.
Right.
If you don't, you're fucked. You know what I'm saying? You're screwed. So it's like you have to have that financial discipline, and then it's like a lot of people find themselves on the treadmill where it's like, because that time gap, they're just okay, every drop they're damn near doing the same 7,000. Then the next drop they might do 7,500. Then the next drop they might do 8,500. But it's like, by the time you got from a $7,000 drop to a $9,000 drop is a whole year. Versus somebody that they might be doing Pakistan and they might go because their re-up time is a month or a couple weeks. They might be re-ing up quicker, but then it's like their brand might have a shorter lifespan because their attention to quality. It's like the consumer, no matter what, feels the difference in the quality. And I feel like when the quality is lesser, it gives the consumer the automatic sign like, oh, okay, this is a here today, gone tomorrow brand. Yeah. Oh, this is just some quick shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this isn't necessarily something that I'm not. Yeah, it's fast fashion. This isn't something I should be invested in. So it's like, and also when you drop in more quickly and you're in people's faces, it's they can get tired of you quicker. Versus when you're going China, you have 3-4 months in between every drop. It builds anticipation. So it's just tough, like, and that's why I say don't quit that job. Yeah. Keep that job. So, Sheed, I want to ask you because from the marketing perspective, and this is kind of like really like this is on topic, but like just in a different lens. Like, how do you feel about brands that are that close their website versus brands that keep their website open at all times?
I don't think there's really a wrong or right way to go about this. Yeah. I always tell you, there's no rules to this. I always say that. I think it goes back to what you just said about being financially responsible. Because I believe that past anything, fashion, all this e-commerce is about cash flow. Yeah. So having your website open every day and you're able to have ends every single day is going to be better for you in the long haul. But if you are running your brand to where it's like your site is open for a month and then you're closed for a month just to make sure you stay the ship, I'm not mad at that either. But like you said, you just got to be financially responsible to know that, like, all right, cool, if I was to make 50 and it's going to cost me 25 to handle everything, but now I got to invest another 15 into the next drop, then that 10, what are you going to do with that 10? Versus if you are at the point where you can make 3K every day versus or 2K every day coming in, that's a little bit more predictable. And as we just said, every drop is a risk.
Yeah.
If you take a month off and then that next drop isn't that 50, it's that 30,
Yeah.
then what we looking at? But I believe that when your site is open, you get more in-time feedback, real-time feedback, if something's working versus not working. And it's just not to say it's less of a risk, because if your site is open every day and like you're running ads, you are spending money every day.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's a balance in it. But past everything, it's just about, this is a cash flow business.
Yeah.
So if you are responsible enough to do that, close your website, build an anticipation, build a hype, because we know customer demand is what's going to drive everything. And if you're able to feed that demand to where you can have the big drop days and then coast from there, or not saying just run your money up to where the point you're like, all right, cool, let me close shop, make sure everyone's good, fulfill your orders, do everything that's necessary, and that works for you, do it. But if you want to be a big dog, you want to really make the money, you need to have your website open every single day.
For sure.
Does Ralph Lauren have the website closed?
Nope.
Does Stussy?
Nope.
Does Emily Ondore?
Nope.
Does Gucci? Does Balenciaga? Does any of these brands who are making real money, like the money that you aspire to make?
Yeah.
No, they don't. There's a lot of streetwear brands like a Cortez, they do it, but even now, Clint don't be closing his website as much.
Yeah.
He doesn't,
That's facts.
because he got to a point now where demand is there all the time.
Yeah.
You'll be a fool to leave the money on the table.
Yeah.
So it's playing that game. If you want to do it one way versus the other way, like I say, do whatever you want to. There's no rules to this. But I believe once you get to a certain point, you need to do what is necessary to maximize on the dollar, because your lifespan in this thing, it can be real quick to where your brand's not in fashion anymore.
Yeah.
So
No, for sure. And then, Shadi, I have to ask you, because I know that in your path to the wholesale, like you said, you came from the direct to consumer with Red Letters. What do you feel like was in coming from Red Letters and in coming from a history of, okay, I already know how the brand, like how a good running brand is on the direct to consumer level? Was there anything that you kind of were able to leverage over other people that kind of don't have that experience? And what type of things did you see, like, oh, okay, I know this more than them because of this?
Yeah, because we had all the information from online,
Okay.
we were able to then give better selections or advice to our stores.
Okay.
That, instead of them shooting in the dark and picking out some styles or asking me, hey, what do you think is going to do the best? It's like we were able towards the beginning to show them, hey, based off of these 12 hoodies, these perform best for us. And we think these will do well for you, because based off of our customer demographic, there's a huge concentration in New York.
Yeah.
And so this was the best selling style in New York. And as a New York store, it would make sense for you to carry this. Yeah. And so we were able to give them more of a tailored selection for their stores. And I think that for brands that don't have that, that online presence and that have that data available, they aren't able to give those recommendations.
Okay. No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I say before we close out, Sheed, any advice to any brand owners out there, any team of guys that have a brand, just anybody in the space that's even thinking about starting a brand? What's the advice that you have to them?
know your numbers.
Okay.
Know your numbers. I'll give an example of I remember me and Shay had this call with one guy. He reached out to us, and we have tons of calls. So this guy,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
which one is it? Exactly. You don't.
Can I say it?
Yeah, not that guy.
You gotta bleep that one out.
Nah, that's a good one too. But it was this guy, he reached out to us and he was like, yo, I want to run ads for a new drop I have. I have hats. And we're like, all right, cool. How much are your hats? He said $50. He was like, all right, cool. He said, I'm doing pre-made. I got 100 hats. And we're like, all right, cool. You're doing, so the most you can make right now is $5K.
Yeah.
And we're like, how much are you willing to spend towards advertisement? He was like, I said, let's say $30 a day. So that's $900. So let's just round it up to $1,000. So now you're already spending, now you're left with $4K in terms of potential profit. Now you have our fee. Now let's say our fee was hypothetically $2,000.
Yeah.
Now you're left with what?
3K. I mean, no.
$2K.
Yeah. Negative 500 because your cost.
And now you have your cost. And now after that, let's say you sell out.
Yeah.
Now you have shipping. So you're walking away with $1,000
in the hole.
And even could go in the hole, and that's if you sell out. Yeah. So it's like, all right, cool. Know your numbers in that case. So if you are going to run ads or you're going to do stuff like that, make sure it makes sense on the front end to where it's like, I have enough products to make it make sense that I'm going to be profitable. Yeah. If you know you have a drop and it's like, all right, cool. In this drop, if I was to sell out, I can make $50K. Yeah. Be realistic with yourself. Are you probably going to sell out? It's possible, but let's aim for like a 60% sell-free rate. Okay. What does that look like? And then again, what am I willing to spend on marketing in totality? Mm-hmm. Is that going to be $10K in terms of paying whoever you run your ads, you run your ads yourself in terms of marketing spend, in terms of content, because you might not be the person to do your shoots, you might not be the person to edit your stuff, you might not be the person to do all that stuff. At the end of the day, this is a business. Yeah. And people think it's a hobby, it's a passion project, it's all that stuff until it becomes a business after a certain point, after a certain threshold of like success. So if you're not good at numbers, that's fair, but it can be simple math. It can be simple math. It doesn't have to be forecasting, it doesn't need to be all this. Once you get to a certain point, you can start hiring people to do all that stuff for you. For sure. But initially, make sure that you do the math to know that is it worth me investing in this person, that person, this person. Sometimes you got to do a lot of stuff yourself initially, and then you're going to learn the process. You're going to learn what you're good at, what you're not good at, and then what makes sense to bring someone with expertise in. Yeah. You feel me? We have people that I know who spent $10K on a photo shoot, but their product range will only bring them in potentially $20,000. You already spent half your money doing that, and then you're trying to do this, that, and the other. So it's like you have to make it make sense. Lower your costs. Play the game at not a minimal, but like use the most of your resource that you have at hand. Yeah. And you have people who are around you who are good at certain things. Use them. Yeah. And you have people to where like with us, like people reach out to us all the time, but we even tell people you're not at the point yet to where it makes sense for you to work with us. Yeah. But we have people to where it's like you have all the factors that we see for success. Just listen to us, and I promise you'll get to that next level. And it's happened time and time again.
All right. Appreciate you, Sheed.
Closing thoughts?
Yes, sir.
Money loves speed. Iterate quickly. Make sure that if you're partnering with people at the beginning, you guys have complementary, talents. 2 photographers should not start a brand. 1 content creator and 1 person doing ads. That makes sense. But more than anything, like it's kind of piggybacking off of the know your numbers thing, because like ultimately you're gonna have to set a goal. Well, you should at least, and work backwards from that, because like you hear about like I want to do $1 million a year in my brand. It's like that just seems so far out of reach until you actually work backwards, because like what is $1 million? Mm-hmm. Like $1 million comes out to like 80 something thousand a month, and then work backwards from there. Okay, cool. If I had to do 80,000 a month and I sell a $80 hoodie, I have to sell 1,000 hoodies. Mm-hmm. All right, what do you have to do to sell 1,000 hoodies? Well, you have to place them ahead of time because they're going to take you about 2 to 3 months to land. Yeah. And so now all of a sudden you're planning 3 months in advance, you're having to secure capital, and you're going to have to like really like prepare yourself way more than if you were just kind of winging it, right? And so like set a goal for yourself, work backwards from that all the way down to, okay, this is what I want to do in revenue. these are the products that are going to get me there. This is how much the products are going to cost. This is how long the lead time on the products is. So this is what I need to order them to have them in time for that month to hit those numbers needed for my goal. And listen, sometimes you're not going to hit that month, and that's okay. You just need to continuously move forward and like just know that it is a long-term play. And so, there's going to be up and down months, but ultimately, if you just look at the entire year and look at it quarter by quarter, as long as you're progressing year over year, like you're on the right path.
Appreciate you guys. It's been a pleasure having you. I'm checking out.